Salutations, minions! For those of you who could not make it to our in-person Spice Camp training, this is your refresher. Please watch and listen to everything as it is vitally important for your survival this summer. Also, somewhere in here are instructions for how to confirm that you've watched the video so you can actually minion. Alrighty. Goals of this workshop are to go over minion roles, talk a little bit about brain development and theory about kids, doing science and all that good stuff, introduce the research agenda, talk about our management policies and activity preparation and other stuff I've got in here. You guys know science rocks. I say science, you say it's Sunday morning and I don't want to. It's all good. So just remember, Brandy's rules for Spice Awesome, not quite the same as the rules I introduced to the campers on the first day of camp, but very similar. 1. No glitter. 2. Activities should be at least 80% hands-on. No more than 20% talkie-talkie. I am, of course, as usual, violating that in this training. You don't get to do anything. You just have to listen to me talk. But that's because you didn't come to the in-person trainings, which were way more fun. Don't keep campers waiting, so please help your instructors facilitate speedy implementation of camp activities. If things are not working, take campers outside and play with them. Now, your instructors are going to decide if things aren't working, but you can definitely give them a little feedback and suggestions if you have them from your minion view on the ground. If you see something unsafe going on, call it out and say, "Stop!" Everybody has safety veto. And again, no glitter. I'm serious. You know I'm serious. We don't like glitter here. So just a little bit of a reminder about some of the underlying learning theories for our camp. We're not going into the big stuff. This is just the light stuff. Just to remember that a fully grown adult who has been pounded into submission by life has an attention span of about 20 minutes before they start drifting away. So it's important to shake things up pretty routinely when people are learning new things. And remember, your working memory, that's the memory you use when you're learning new things, can hold about 7 things plus or minus 3. And the more new and novel it is, the lower that number is. So probably 4 things. So don't give people more than 4 steps of instructions before you have them implement something. It's good to chunk out the instructions whenever you can, call back their attention, and give them more instructions. And people only retain information that they find relevant or interesting. That's why we do this minion refresher, because you've probably forgotten a lot of this because it wasn't particularly interesting. You were more interested in goofing around and having fun at camp, which is fine as long as you're helpful and follow the rules. Remember to calibrate the challenge. So as you're assisting campers with activities, if you see that they're struggling with something, it's okay to give them a couple of hints or suggestions. Don't give them the answers, but point out places where their thinking seems to be on track and help them extend it. You don't want them to become so frustrated that they get discouraged. It's okay to be goofy and definitely share your excitement. Now, you as minions are in a unique position to impress upon campers the value of this program because you came here for 3 years and then you decided to come back and volunteer. So when you say, hey, this activity has some payout, it's pretty cool, they are more likely to listen to you because you did it and you came back. I mean, don't lie. If you think the activity's dumb, that's okay. Don't say it's dumb. Just say, like, hey, the next thing we're going to do is super cool as well. Just give this one a try. You might like it. Also, just because your campers are sitting quietly in their seats staring at the board does not mean they're actually listening to you. They could be totally spacing out, so it's important to have a lot of interactivities with campers. Now, this is more on your instructors than it is on you, but it's a good idea to check in with instructors in small groups and campers in small groups and see how they're doing. Ask them questions. It's all good. If things seem off, let your instructors know. Say, hey, that group over there is really off task. They're not having fun. Something's going wrong. And let them know so the instructors can try to address that. You know this. Introduce new words or concepts using doublespeak, giving lots of examples, relating what they're learning to things that they already know about. So if you are trying to help campers out in small groups and you think of something that how this activity actually relates to their day-to-day lives, throw that out there. Give them some ideas. Approach things, from a different standpoint. You can tell them stuff. You can show them stuff. You can have them touch stuff. Kids love touching stuff. By the way, if you hear a weird noise in the background, that is one of our new 3D printers working in the background of my office, printing things for Pinball Camp. So if you're working with Pinball Camp, you get to work with 3D printers. It's going to be sweet. If you don't, you can stop by and look at the 3D printers. We're skipping this working with kids section because you're kids and you know what kids do. We are going to do research again this year at camp, so you remember the surveys. We're going to give the surveys on the first day of camp. We're going to give the surveys on the last day of camp. We might ask a couple of you to help us give out surveys on the first and last days because we're a little short on research staff this year. You won't have to explain anything about the research. You'll just have to hand out the surveys and make sure that people have their names and numbers on them and that they've completed all the items. We'll be doing focus groups in the second week as usual. And after camp, we may do individual interviews, and of course, some of the researchers will come in and observe activities. Feel free to ask them questions if you want, but mostly they'll probably stay out of your way and be more focused on the campers. The research timeline is the same as always. Survey on the first day, focus groups in the second week, survey on the last day, and observations throughout. Pretty easy. You guys don't really have to worry about it. So your duties as minions will vary depending on what team you're assigned to. The teams are Supply Team, Discovery Camp, Forensics Camp, and Engineering Camp. Hopefully by now you've learned your team assignment. If not, you should email me or text me and I will tell you what your minion assignment is. As a minion, you may be asked to run errands or help distribute supplies, to set up activities, to clean up activities, to help campers out with activities when they're having trouble, deliver them little bits and pieces like hot glue sticks, or you may be asked to role play as part of the forensics camp crime scenes. Even if you're not in forensics camp, you may be asked to play the role. Maybe you will be the murderer. Or your instructors may use you to demonstrate activities at the front of the room, since it's cooler for the campers to see minions handling fire and stuff than it is for them to see instructors doing it. If you would like to help with the demonstration, if you would like to do a small activity lead-in, talk to your camp instructors, tell them what your ideas are, and they might let you do it. Kind of depends on what it is. Let your leaders know what kind of tasks you're up to and which ones you're not up to. So if you hurt your foot and running across campus is not a great thing for you, let your instructors know. If you're shy and you do not want to be at the front of the classroom, that's okay too. Just let them know, no, please, I do not want to do a demo, but I will run all the errands you need and set stuff up. But that doesn't mean you can just say like, oh, I can't do this because it's a boring activity, counting out popsicle sticks. Like, yeah, no, I mean, count the popsicle sticks. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. You'll survive. Remember that as minions, you have a great deal of independence. We're trusting you to get from point A to B without any people watching you or guiding you, that when you're on your free time, you can do as you please. Please do represent the camp, though. A lot of old curmudgeons who work here don't really understand that you're not campers, that you are, in fact, minions and on your own volition. So assume that they think you're campers and behave respectfully. Ask questions of your instructors if you're not sure what's going on, or other minions, and always use your good judgment. Don't go into spaces that you're not approved to go into. Don't climb ladders in the sky. Don't be roaming around with a microwave on fire. All that good stuff, represent us as we want to be represented on campus, as the awesome independent thinkers and science experts that you are. Remember that the campers are not supposed to be unsupervised or alone. Now, obviously, they have to go to the bathroom, and we're not going to have an instructor walk them to the bathroom every time, but that they are supposed to go to the bathroom in groups, just because it's the University of Oregon, and it's a weird-ass campus. And weird things happen here, so we like them to be in packs so they can back each other up and they're safe. And they need to report when they come and go, but you do not. If you want to go to the bathroom, just go to the bathroom. I mean, if you're in the middle of something and an instructor's counting on you, say like, hey, I gotta duck out and go to the bathroom, but otherwise, like, we don't care, go to the bathroom. If you need to take a break, if it's really stressful in the classroom and you're feeling overwhelmed, just give your instructors a nod and say, hey, I'm gonna go outside for a few minutes, collect myself, do my breathing exercises, slam some gummy bears. It's all great. Do try to avoid being alone with a camper. It may happen. You may have to escort a single camper to get first aid or something like that. That's okay. But, especially for our older instructors, we try not to have people be alone. It's just part of our whole child safety thing. But you shouldn't just be like in a closet together for no reason with a camper. Don't do that. Let's not. Just because we don't want to have the appearance of anything weird going on. So, safety review. Right in the middle of this presentation, I pasted all of Morgan's slides. Always use your good judgment. If the escalator breaks down, it's still a staircase. you can just walk up it. If something goes sideways, it doesn't work exactly the way you were expecting, don't just stop and sit there and wait for someone to come and tell you what to do. Try to figure out what you can do with the broken thing that you have, or if the steps aren't right, try to puzzle it out, go back and find an instructor and say, hey, this didn't go right, I'm not sure what to do next, but don't just sit there and not do it. So it's really, really frustrating for the instructors and the campers if you were sent to set up an activity and they get there and there's just a box of stuff on the table and you haven't put the tablecloths down and you haven't parceled out the supplies. Don't do that. But I trust you guys, you're all awesome. Make sure to pay attention at all times and focused on whatever you're doing, because accidents happen when you are not paying attention. I know, because I sliced my finger open this morning because I was looking at a YouTube video while trying to scrape 3D print jobs off the tray. Now there's blood everywhere. Don't be like me. Don't be bloody. So, a reminder that there is a shoe policy all the time in camp. People need to have their shoes all the time. I know it's fun to put your toes in the grass, but that's how people get stung by bees or step on weird stuff, and I don't want that. Wear your shoes. Wear appropriate attire. If you have long hair, we love braids and hair ties. We will have hair ties all over the place this year. Generally speaking, especially for lab activities, have closed-toed shoes, not a lot of bare skin. I know it's summertime and everybody's going to be wearing shorts and flip-flops, but especially on days when we're going to be handling things like fire or chemicals, we want to try and dress appropriately. We do have, of course, lab coats and goggles and gloves to hand out to folks. Basic safety gears are the splash goggles, which are the fully enclosed one, the safety glasses, which are a little more comfy. We do have face shields in case we're doing really explosive stuff. Gloves, which we have in latex and nitrile. Some people are allergic to latex, so I think we just do all our gloves in nitrile most of the time. We have some heat and cold resistant gloves. We do have breathing masks for folks who are doing things like soldering, and earplugs when we're exploding things. I don't think we're exploding anything this year. Most important, we have lab coats. Morgan has asked me to remind everyone that the lab coats are not dish rags. Please don't wipe your disgusting, dirty hands on them, because then they get stained and they look gross. So they're there to protect you from splashes and stuff, but use towels to wipe off your hands or equipment. Remember, everybody has safety veto. You see something unsafe, call it out. Say no, and we will stop and figure out where to go from there. So that's the basic safety, fire safety training. Always wear glasses or goggles when handling fire. If you're handling chemical or splashable fire, you definitely want the full goggles. We do have fire extinguishers, and for fire demos, there will be a box on hand you can use to smother things on fire. You need to have as much clothing as possible, not loose clothing. Use cotton gloves when we're doing the fire handling activity, and have all hair tied back. The hair tied back thing is really important. We do not want to do a Michael Jackson and set anyone's hair on fire. Remember, the fire extinguishers are disposable, dry chemical fire extinguishers. They don't last for very long, about 15 seconds. So if you need to put a fire out, don't hesitate. Grab the fire extinguisher, pull that red clip out, point it right at the base of the fire and squeeze. Make sure to aim first, because you will run out of chemicals much more quickly than you realize. It'll get cold, which is good, because that'll put the fire out. Don't use the fire extinguisher for fun. They're expensive. So, never leave fires unattended. Never turn your back on fire. It's a good way to light your hair on fire. Never light anything on fire unless you are sure that you are supposed to light it on fire. Never place other chemicals or papers near the fire. I've done this. Don't do it. It's a good way to light your table on fire. Always wear the proper safety gear, and always have a plan in place for how you will stop the fire if something goes weird. We're not going to do a fire activity because you're not here, because you missed the training. We're very sad. So, chemical safety. Wear goggles, gloves, full-length clothing or lab coats. Use fume hoods and respirators where appropriate. Respect the chemicals. Never taste the chemicals unless, it's a lemon and we told you to taste it. Only taste it if we told you to taste it. If you see campers tasting things they're not supposed to taste, if it was my son, I'd hit him up alongside the head. But we're not allowed to hit the campers, but yell at him. Be like, no! Don't eat that! Don't directly inhale chemicals. Waft the aroma towards your nose, and make sure to clean up spills as quickly as possible. In case of emergency, there are eye wash stations in the building. We've never really used them, and safety showers. Don't hesitate if you are burning to grab those shower pulls and get yourself all wet. We do have first aid kit under the sink in the OMQ. Don't ask me where the first aid kit is, because it's under the sink. It's a big red box. You can't miss it. And each camp will have a portable first aid kits that are full of all sorts of good stuff. Actually, the portable kits have more stuff in them than the OMQ kit does. Don't mix chemicals unless you're instructed to do so. Watch out for organic solvents. These are things like acetone, which is nail polish remover. Anything that smells pretty stinky, they evaporate really quickly, and they're volatile. So don't leave an open container of acetone next to an open flame. You might get a fireball you didn't intend. And definitely ask before putting anything down the sink. Morgan is our chemical disposal person. She will handle all of that chemical disposal, and the instructor should have instructions for how to get rid of their various waste chemicals. We expect that all chemical containers will be delivered back to the camp in the black boxes. They look like little file boxes because that's what they are. They should be put back into the file box when done. All the safety gear will be supplied and it should be used. Any chemical waste that's left over, that's Morgan's job to handle. She'll let the instructors know if there are chemicals that can be poured down the drain. There will also be a cheat sheet with the chemical box that will be in handy. When in doubt, ask Morgan. Not Matt. Matt's not here this year. This is an old slide. Ask Morgan. I believe all of you have her cell phone number or will. You can text her with questions. So, cryogenic substances. In camp, we work with 3 cryogenic substances. These are dry ice, liquid nitrogen, and regular ice. Dry ice, as you'll recall, liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen, as you'll recall, is super cold nitrogen. It is your choice when handling it whether or not to use gloves, because a little bit splashing on your hands, thanks to the Leidenfrost effect, will keep you safe, but it won't keep wet parts of you safe. So always wear goggles when handling liquid nitrogen. The gloves on the hands, that's kind of at your discretion, but don't use the heat-resistant gloves, the ones that have cloth on them, because that liquid nitrogen will soak into it and then it will burn you really badly, freezer burn you badly. But you can wear latex gloves. You can wear the big, heavy leather gloves we have if that makes you more comfortable when you're handling the liquid nitrogen. Plain ice. Please recall that there are ice machines all over the science complex, but they are not food-safe ice. They're gross. People coming in and out of the labs get chemicals in them all the time. They just use them in the labs for cooling things down outside of the actual containers they have their chemicals in. Don't eat it. It's also made of deionized water, and the boat is really out on whether or not it's a good idea to eat deionized water, but especially for young people whose bodies are still developing, we don't want weird water in your body. So don't eat it. Don't let the campers eat it. General safety, similar deal. Stay vigilant. You don't need to be afraid. Don't freak out and tip stuff over because you're scared, but pay attention to what's going on with the chemicals. Don't leave them alone. Don't leave them unsupervised. Dry ice. Actually, my personal consideration, the most dangerous of the cryogenic substances we work with. You must have the heat cold resistant gloves to work with it, because it will stick to your fingers and it will freezer burn you and possibly rip your skin off. It's not fun. You can pick up dropped shards. They're generally safe enough not to be a hazard, but I never touch the stuff without gloves. Always wear goggles. You don't want a fleck of that stuff getting in your eyeball, especially when we're hammering it into smaller pieces. That would hurt a lot if you got a shard of dry ice in your eye, because it's a shard and because it's super cold and it's going to freeze the surface of your eyeball. All liquid nitrogen will be transported in the dewar. Don't drop it, and don't try to seal it down, because it's gotta be able to outgas a little bit. The nitrogen's constantly boiling, and if you actually try to seal it tight, the top will explode off of it, which might sound like fun, but it wouldn't be. Dry ice will come in an insulated lunchbox. Don't handle it with your bare hands. Leave the lunchbox zipped when you're not using it, because we don't want it to all sublimate. And use a non-glass scoop to collect normal ice. A glass scoop is a great insulator, but if you accidentally break it in the ice, you won't be able to tell the difference between the ice and the glass, and we will have to wait for the whole thing to melt to pick out the glass shards. And then we played with liquid nitrogen. It was super fun, but you don't get to do that, again, because you're not here. Alright, as you guys know, we like to use the microwave a lot at Spice Camp. It's super fun. We put all of these really cool things in it that you should not do at home. Few things to keep in mind. The microwave does sometimes catch on fire. So, if the microwave catches on fire, don't open the door. Also, never leave the microwave unattended, whether or not it's on fire. Don't leave it unattended. EHS gets really mad at us when we leave unattended microwaves around the complex. They're like, Brandy, why is there an unattended microwave here? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know. And then I come and yell at you guys. But like, why is there an unattended microwave? Unplug the microwave when you're not using it. Always have a fire extinguisher nearby. Now, Morgan says never open the microwave when it's on fire. The problem is that some of the microwaves are not airtight enough for the fire to go out on its own, and if it's got enough fuel in there, it could go for a while. If you're not in a hurry, if you're not worried, if it's not pouring smoke out of it, just leave it alone. It will eventually consume whatever material it's burning. But if it's a small fire and it's not going out, the instructors may open it up and put it out using a damp cloth or smother it with a box. But you guys, if you're handling a microwave that's on fire, leave it alone. Give us a call if you're on your own for some reason, and we will come and we will fix it. When you're microwaving items, don't microwave things for more than a minute. That's really on the high end. Like the chip bags go like 7 seconds. Don't handle items that have been microwaved with your hands. They can get really hot, especially the stuff we do, so use tongs. You may need to let the microwave rest between use because it gets used a lot and it's gross inside. Try not to touch the inside of the microwave. They're really disgusting at this point. Glass disposal. When it breaks, please have all the campers step back. Follow any chemical spill procedures that are appropriate for the situation. Sweep the glass up with the broom and a dustpan. Don't try to pick glass pieces up with your fingers. You'll get cut. Place it all in a cardboard box. Tape that cardboard box so that there are no possible exit points for the glass shards and write broken glass all over it. And then toss it in the dumpster. That's what you do. That just keeps the trash handlers from getting cut by glass, which is nice. Let's not cut the trash handlers. If you're on a carpeted surface, we now have a really cool mini vac you can catch those pesky little tiny shards with. In case of emergencies, creepy people creeping around being all creepy, or major thefts or other concerns, you can call the UO Police Department and let Brandy know that you called the police department and why. This is the non-emergency line, so if something weird is happening but nobody's squirting blood out, you call this number. If blood is squirting out or you're really scared or something like that, then call 911. And then call Brandy, because if you call 911, I really need to know about that. Now, if we accidentally explode something and the cops come looking to see if there's an active shooter like they did in training last year, please, be empowered to go up to the police and say, hey, we accidentally blew up a 2-liter bottle in science camp. It's okay. Nobody's shooting anyone. They will take you more seriously if you have goggles around your neck. No kidding. Especially if you lab coat in goggles, they'll believe anything you say. Emergency contacts. We have all the emergency contacts for the campers, so if something comes up with the camper, like they seem to be having an allergic reaction or they're not feeling well, contact Brandy or Georgie. We have a new assistant, Georgie, by the way. You'll get to meet her. Again, the first aid kit is located under the sink. We also have feminine hygiene products under the sink. I need to replenish that because there's not a lot there right now. It's sort of hanging around in the back under a bunch of towels. If you're taking your camper somewhere, there'll be a portable first aid kit supplied. All right. Remember, the first aid kit is under the sink. All the safety things. Don't come ask me where the first aid kit is. I'll be really cranky. Unless, you've got retrograde amnesia, you really don't know where it is, and you need a first grade kit. And then you'll just have to put up with the fact that I'm cranky, but you won't know because you have retrograde amnesia. So remember the daily flow of camp. We have morning wraparound from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. If you're on wraparound, you'll know that. You get to hang out and play games with the campers. We do drop-off over on the Loki lawn between Eustis Hall and Deschutes Hall in the morning. Then everybody goes off to their particular camps and does their camp things. Lunch is from noon to 1. We have something different this year, and I did not include it on the slide. This is for 2018 only. Who knows what will happen in 2019? For 2018, the engineering campers will actually be taking their lunch from 11 to noon on their own, and then it will just be discovery and forensics from noon to 1, which is fine because most of the time the engineering campers don't want to hang out with the little kids anyway, except for the ones who do, and I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry you don't get to hang out with the little kids. Then we have, that's not accurate. That says 1 to 3:45 we have pickup. 1 to 3:45 we have more camp, and then 3:45 you should all walk over to the lawn for pickup. At 4 o'clock, unless you're in wraparound, then you should go to wraparound, which is in room 147 Willamette. It's the same room it's been in the last couple of years. Not the glass room, the one in the alcove. Lunch. Don't worry about lunch. If you're on lunch monitoring duty, though, you do... Whoops. Oh my god, I'm losing all control of my slides. Remember, if you are a lunch monitor, that there's no climbing on the trees, but that's not really a problem because they cut down the tree. Oh my god. But if you are a lunch monitor, keep them off the creepy grate near the building. They can sit on the creepy grate under the tree. but not put trash in it. Try to be respectful of one another, and they don't have vending machine privileges unless you give them vending machine privileges. So if they're being punks, don't let them have their vending machine privileges. Remember, as always, we want to have respect for the facilities, indoors and out. Let's not graffiti or leave trash anywhere. Let's be reasonably quiet when moving from place to place. No, shrieking like a pterodactyl. Make sure that everything's cleaned up after activities and keep the campers sort of contained. Now, no matter how well the campers are behaved, there are some people here who are just going to be crotchety because they don't like the fact that children exist. We have to live with that, but we definitely don't want to give them any ammunition. If you see any bullying or exclusionary behavior, encourage campers to take a moment to talk things out unless they're feeling threatened, and then don't make them talk it out. Help them collect themselves. Give kids space when necessary. Check in with your instructors. If you notice something going on with kids that's not great, let the instructors know. Say, hey, I'm kind of worried about these kids over here. This kid's getting picked on, or these kids are really cranky and I don't know why. Or I do know why. Sometimes you guys find out stuff we don't find out. Let your instructors know so they can hopefully help everybody have a good time. Last year we had an unfortunate series of incidents in which minions were being treated very poorly like a camper, and I feel terrible about it. Please do let us know if a camper's being mean to you. That's the first time we've ever had it happen. Also, on the other side of things, please do not play favorites with the campers if you are a minion. We had some minions in the past who were sort of doing coffee runs to Starbucks and stuff, which is great. You guys can do that. But they were bringing back some campers' coffee and not others, and campers were feeling pretty cruddy about that because they weren't getting stuff. So no favorites. No, don't be buddies with the campers. You're their role models. Be nice to them, be friendly with them, but they're not your chums. They're campers. Communications. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but if you're curious, I will read you the emails at another time. Suffice it to say, last year we got embroiled in a controversy where it went out in the community that Spice had censored evolution content to avoid offending religious parents. We did not do that. That did not happen, and no parents have ever complained about us covering evolution content. However, an instructor sent out an email that made it sound very much like we had done this. It was a mistake. It was not a great thing to do, and it caused me a week of not eating because it was not fun. So, be thoughtful when you're communicating with people outside of camp about what's going on. By all means, if someone walks up and says, hey, what is this? Feel free to tell them, hey, this is Spice Camp and we're lighting some things on fire. Don't worry, we have a fire extinguisher. If they have more questions about the programs, direct them to me. Say, oh, our director's Brandy Todd. She's up in the OMQ and here's her phone number. If you have any questions, she's the person to answer. If you feel uncomfortable if somebody's creepy talking to you, feel free to say, oh, I have to run. I have an errand to do, and back away. But you can give anybody my contact info. It's fine. If you're not sure, that person seems creepy, but they might just be a weird old professor, because we have some professors that seem odd. Feel free to give them my contact info. And always try to represent the camp as the awesomeness it is. So, now that you have listened to me ramble for this entire time, you now know that the password is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Please email or text this to me so I know that you have completed your training. Also, get your paperwork from your parents. I'm going to be emailing this to folks. I need your parents to sign the volunteer consent form, and for you and your parents to review the Minion contract and sign it. Please bring that on day 1 if you haven't done it already. Okay, that's everything. Oh, right. Other stuff of stuffing. Always exercise your good judgment. When in doubt, ask questions, be good role models to campers, and have fun! Make sure to turn in your paperwork and be positive. Yay! It is done. No more training videos for you. Now, if I can get QuickTime to show